minus light. Maybe 5 right tightens over 100. Left, then 7.5 left minus tightens clip over 70. And 3 right on side 3 plus into 5.3 left slide through bridge. Cut sharp 4 right minus. And sharp left 30 left tightens maybe 5 minus. Close right, sharp 5 left 90. Open right tightens cut 2. And 6.3 left minus slide through bridge. Into right. Tightens cut 3.
Welcome back to Rally DNA in association with our kind sponsors, Slip and Grip Automotive. Slip and Grip Automotive are a UK-based motorsport events organiser and members club. They host various event types throughout the year at a number of UK locations, including track days, sprints, tarmac rally testing and social events. They are also the sole organisers for Bont Rally Stage in Mid-Wales, a great tarmac stage, providing great prep for crews before tarmac events in the UK or Ireland. To find out more, visit slipandgripautomotive.co.uk. The link is in the description of this episode, and be sure to give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook. I'm one of your hosts, Killian Cronin, along with the man who has swallowed every McLean book ever published and the man heading up the lobby to see tobacco sponsorship return to World Rallying, Jamie Arkle. How are you, Jamie?
Grand, thank you, mate. I'm on hold to Philip Morris as we speak.
Very good. It's been a while since we've had a proper interview episode, and this week we welcome back a man we heard briefly from in the past and who we obviously didn't scare off the first time. A stalwart of the World Rally Championship for the best part of 20 years, Jonas Andersson, twice Junior World Rally Champion, Rally of the Lakes winner, World Rally winner, 14-time podium sitter in the World Rally Championship, and currently in the midst of a pretty damn good WRC2 campaign that looks like it's set to continue right to the end of the season, paired with British driver Gus Greensmith in a TalkSport prepared Fabia Rally 2, in which they have won 2 rounds out of the 3 they were able to score points on so far this season. Jonas, you're very, very welcome back. It's great to talk to you again.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back. So happy to be here.
Jonas, Alex Gelsomino once told us that the best co-drivers are the ones with the most experience. So on that basis, looking at your career, the events you've competed on and the cars you've co-driven over the past 2 decades, you must be considered one of the best currently competing. Do you think that's a fair statement, or are you too modest for that kind of caper?
No, well, I wouldn't say that. It's for sure a part of it. Like experience will take you a long way for sure. But there is plenty of people out there with less experience that I have that are doing a great job and so on. So I don't think that's all of it, but for sure, if you're able to be on the top level and compete as much as I have done, then you have done something right, I guess. So I hope I'm up there with a few other fellows.
You keep getting the paid gigs, I'm sure you are.
We're recording this in the gap between Sardinia and Safari Rally. Unfortunately, during the last outing at Sardinia, you and Gus had a bit of a heavy shunt. How are you feeling after that? And is Gus doing okay?
Yeah, I was actually okay from that crash. I didn't feel anything. I was just a little bit at all. And Gus is recovering very well, and he feels very good at the moment. So it shouldn't be any drama going forward. And Safari Rally we're not supposed to do anyway, so we have a bit of a break from the World Rally Championship anyway. So I think we'll be back for Estonia and without a doubt. So
of course, the main thing is that you're both unharmed and fit to compete again soon. But that being said, there must have been a fair relief that this happened on the round that you weren't registered to score points on.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you're gonna have of course, it's better to have it on an event where you don't score points. So still very much in the fight for the WRC Championship. So we're going to do our best.
Last year, you were sitting in a Rally 1 Puma, and this year in the Rally 2 Fabia. From the co-driver's seat, what's the biggest change being in the WRC2 field? And did it take some adjustment from both you and Gus?
Yeah, it's not that big of a change really. In my point of view, you do the same job. I mean, of course, the cars are not that quick, but they're still very quick. So it's some things happening a little bit slower than in a Rally 1 car, but in general, it's pretty much the same thing you do, so it doesn't change that much for me.
Sticking with the Rally 1 cars for a moment, we heard a fair few complaints last year from both drivers and co-drivers about the cockpits of the Rally 1 cars being a bit too hot and too uncomfortable. Is that still an issue, or has it been largely resolved now?
I think it's pretty much the same this year, as I haven't been in one this year, but last year for sure it was a problem, like both with the especially with the heat. I would say it was very, very hot in the cars and so on, but and also with the seat position wasn't great for me, at least, so it's quite tall. So, but I think it's quite the same this year.
I guess that's partly teething problems to be expected for a new category still in its formative stages.
Yeah, it's of course not easy to foresee all of these things. So they did some small things and got the heat down a little bit. I think the main problem was that you have the exhausts very close to the floor, and also going not in the same tunnel as the prop shaft, so they have to. It was a bit longer and generated a bit more heat.
Lots of opportunity for heat soak.
Yes.
Would you say you're able to have a bit more fun in WRC too? Are you guys enjoying yourselves more, like, from the outside looking in, since drivers like Gus and Oliver Salberg have switched to WRC? It seems like they're WRC 2. It seems like they're a bit more comfortable. See a lot more smiles, put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to be fighting for podiums and wins, so that helps with keeping the smiles up for sure, and I think so. We're really trying to enjoy and have fun, but still be very quick and to beat the other guys. I mean, it's like you have, like you said, Oliver Solberg, and you have Adrian Formeau and Johan Rosell and Mikkelsen and Timo Sunninen, to name a few. And I mean, it's you go into a competition and there is like 6-7 guys who can win the event. So and on more or less equal terms. So it's very exciting for sure.
Great stuff. Going back to the very beginning of your career.
Yeah, I've always been interested in motorsport, and some local guys rallying, and they didn't have any co-drivers, so then I jumped into the co-driver seat and started to co-drive for them at a very, very low level and on local events. But then I was aiming for the driver seat myself for sure. But at the time when I was thinking about buying my own rally car, I got a call from PG Andersson, and he was going to do Swedish Championship and so on. And for me, that sounded more interesting than to drive some local events as a driver. So then I decided to back, really.
Wonderful. Is this when you found yourself in the Clio?
We were in a Group N Clio for the first 2 years in the Swedish Championship, and then 1 year actually.
What was it like learning you were going to take part in the JWRC with Suzuki at first? Was it the point you thought there was a real career ahead of you guys in a rally car?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were driving mainly in Sweden, and we decided a few events in 2003 with the Clio and the World Rally Championship, and had some ups and downs for sure. But we had a really good run in Finland before the engine actually blew up. But we were leading the Super 1600 category then in front of all the guys who were driving the Junior World Rally Championship at that point. So that's when Suzuki got their eyes on us, and for sure when they were very, very clear that they wanted to have like a few years, and they were aiming to do the proper World Rally car. So then you knew that you had the opportunity.
Certainly. Must have been very exciting.
It would probably be fair to say that Per Gunnar was something, if perhaps not the favourite going into the Suzuki team in 2004. And yet still, of course, managed to emerge on top. Do you have any recollections from that first season competing in the Ignis?
Well, we had a horrible start to the season. Really, we were leading Monte Carlo big, and to Greece, and we rolled twice, and 0 points after 2 rounds, and then I think it was then Turkey where we had our first win. So that is for sure something that is a very fond memory when we managed to turn it around and get a good result there.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the first win in Turkey in 2004, you guys got some wins on what you consider some of the more challenging, sometimes attritional events like Turkey, as you said, and then Finland and Sardinia. What was it that you guys had in you to do so well in some of these tougher events? What made you guys stand out in those locations?
Oh, that's really hard to say. I mean, it was a bit of everything for sure. I think we drove well. We had a car that was really reliable, and that helped for sure. And we got a lot of experience from the car. We did a lot of work with Suzuki testing and so on. So we got more and more into the way of driving the further the season got. I think in the beginning we were a bit too eager just to try and set really good stage times over and over and over again, instead of seeing the whole picture that you had to make it to the end really to get a result. And I think we changed our mindset a bit after Greece, and that's what got us there in the end.
That's the exuberance of youth, as it were.
Despite a number of podiums and a switch to the Suzuki Swift late in the year, you and Per Gunnar were unable to defend your title in 2005. Looking back, do you think you could have retained the title had things worked out slightly differently?
Yes, definitely. I think we could have done that, and must like to try and recall a bit now. I think we had, was it 2005 or 6? We were disqualified from Turkey one year.
I think that was 05, looking at the results last night, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We got
That's
this
correct.
qualification from Turkey that year after winning the event for illegal servicing, which we didn't agree on, and took an appeal to the FIA, but we lost. And if we hadn't had gotten that one, I think we would have won the championship. And then on the last event in Wales, we had to try and win the event, or at least finish above Patrick Sandel. And he went off on one of the last stages, and we never saw him when we passed him because he was so far off the roads. We went off the road a K or two after that. So there was a couple of things that could have gone the other way that year that would have made a difference. But yeah, that's how it is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it wasn't our year, that's for sure.
That's rallying sounds like it might be a bit of a cop out here, but flipping heck, that's a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, exactly. But then it was nice to get back and win another one a bit later.
Absolutely. And before that, in 2006, you saw yourself competing with some other drivers apart from Per Gunnar in some varied cars, including some Group N 4-wheel drive cars and World Rally cars. How did that experience benefit you at the time, coming out of the Super 1600 car?
Yeah, I think it was a very good experience overall to do another different cars and so on, and for me to do some more serious competition with other drivers was very, very good for me. You always see what other drivers do and don't do, so I think it was very helpful for me that year and those events.
You were third overall in Rally Island with Daniel Carlson that year in a Lancer WRC. Can you recall much of that event?
Yeah, that was as far as I remember my first outing in a WRC car. We had an eventful event for sure. We was quite a heavy rain, surprise, and our wipers stopped working. So we actually took our shoelaces and we tied them to the wipers. And when Daniel called me now, then I pulled them and the wipers went up, and then he pulled them down when he wanted to pull them down, and then he called now, and I pulled them up. So it was a special event for sure, but we got to the finish at the end, but it wasn't an easy event.
It's always good when you get decidedly analog measures in a modern world rally car.
Yes.
It's always good to see some of that sort of innovation appear on an event to get fellas going. And that event was absolutely rain drenched, obviously, as you well remember, but it was just, it wasn't raining, it was more like torrential flooding almost in places.
Yeah, it was, like I said, eventful, and it was my first time in a World Rally car. But I think Daniel did a really good job, and he was always pushing me to call the notes as late as I dare to do, and so on. And he was really good on building my confidence up. So that was really interesting.
And then, of course, the following year, 2007, saw you sitting with another variety of drivers, including Chris Meek, of course, for the Rally of the Lakes, which we discussed previously. And, of course, perhaps most importantly, you went on to reclaim the JWRC with Per Gunnar. Do you sort of separate the 2004 and the 2007 championships, or do you sort of value them both equally? Do you have a favourite?
Yeah, I think I value the 2004 more, just because it was the first one, and we had that terrible start of the season, and to be able to claim that one at the end was very, very special. I remember after the last stage in Spain, driving down to JWRC and knowing that we had won the championship was just an incredible feeling.
That must have been amazing. Bet you had some beers that evening.
I'm sure there was. I can't really recall at the moment. I'm really sure there was.
Always a good sign. Always a good sign. Had the Swift improved from the previous 2 years, do you think, when you reclaimed the title in 2007?
Hard to say. Maybe it was a bit more reliable than there was the first year or the year and a half. Because like the Ignis was maybe not the fastest car all the time and so on, but it was a tank. It could survive anything really. So I think that's what I got up to, closer to that on the Swift for 2007, and you didn't have to take so much care of the car, and you could just concentrate on driving. So I think that helped.
I always really liked the Ignis. It was such a weird looking thing, watching it at the time stage side, and yet so manic, so quick, such a wild sounding car. Love it.
Yeah, it's I really loved it as well. So like I said, it was a tank. So no, I have great memories from that.
What's your preference though, the 3-door or the 5-door one? That's always the big debate.
It's hard to say which is the uglier one, but maybe the 5-door is uglier.
Fair answer.
The Swift was definitely an upgrade on the looks of the car. We can say that much.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any arguments there.
Well, and from one slightly odd-looking rally car to another, of course, Suzuki rewarded you guys with the drive in the SX4 WRC for 2008. I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but probably be fair to say the car wasn't developed enough to be within a real chance of fighting for podiums and wins. Despite having a great team of talent and crews, there appeared to be a fair few issues with the car itself. Was it as frustrating for you guys as it appeared from the outside? One assumes so.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't know how many, like the first 4 or 5 races. I don't think we had a finish because the car broke down and so on. But then we started to get some more reliability on it, and I think at the beginning it was the engine that was the biggest issue. I think that was the biggest issue for the whole season, really. That wasn't good enough, but at least it was not falling apart at the second half of the season, so we could at least get some results in. We had I think we had 2 fifth place, one in GB and one in Japan. Where it was like more muddy, rainy, and the engine maybe didn't make that much of a difference when we had a bit less power. The chassis on the car and so on was pretty good, so it was a shame that we couldn't get some upgrades and do another year.
Yeah, and that was the 2 best results for that car that you guys got, the 5th positions in Japan and GB. It kind of reminds me somewhat of the mini program a couple of years later. The engine maybe letting down a car that was probably reasonably competitive underneath, but a bit down on power and reliability.
Yeah, definitely. You could say there was some resemblance there.
I guess they also had the poor fortune of launching a WRC program just in time for the financial crisis as well, which was obviously outside of everyone else's control, but still less than ideal.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I didn't help for sure. So unfortunately, it was just 1 year and they scrapped the program.
Yeah, I mean, a cruel end after the success that Suzuki had in the Junior World Rally Championship over the previous few years. But looking back now, like the experience must have benefited you greatly, I'm sure. And I mean, it must have still been an exciting time to step up to a works drive. But as one door closes, another opens, and it opened on what became a fruitful partnership with Mads Ostberg. And what led you to partnering with Mads initially?
Well, after 2008, PG didn't have a program really set. So so then I said, like, I'll just go back to my normal day job. And so I started to do that, and I did that for like half a year. And then Mads called me and asked if I was interested in co-driving for him. So yeah, I think I was like mid-season. We did one event in Norway, and then we went to Greece, I think, for our first World Rally Championship round.
I suspect this is going to be a tough one for you to answer, but can you draw any comparisons between the driving styles of PG and Mads?
No, I think they're quite different for sure. Mads has always driven 4-wheel drive cars, more or less, and PG drove so much front-wheel drives at the beginning of his career. So I think he was driving a bit more like with the understeer than Ostberg was doing, who was more like just setting the car up and so on into the corner. So I think their driving styles was quite different, actually.
In 2012, while alongside Mads in a Fiesta WRC, you saw you guys claim an outright victory in Portugal, a very hard fought event, and at one point serious worries because you had the car was running on 3 cylinders at one point. Is that correct? Looking back at videos, but you guys were right in it all the way through with really challenging weather along the way, putting it right up to the likes of Hervinen, who was driving for Citroen at the time, who was then excluded for an illegal clutch, and you inherited your first World Rally Championship victory. It must obviously be very special, but is it, after, Hervinen crossed the finish ramp, did the podium and all this, how does it feel then finding out later on?
I mean, we were really happy with the second place, so we were celebrating the second place out having a team dinner and a few beers when we got the word that he was excluded, and we couldn't really believe it. And but like I said, it never really felt like a victory because we were not on the podium, top step on the podium, and so on. But I think Mikko was very unlucky on that event for sure. But okay, in the history books it says that we have a victory, so I'll take it.
Exactly. And how long afterwards did you get the news?
Yeah, I've done maybe like 9 o'clock in the evening or something. 8-9 o'clock in the evening. Yeah.
Quite a delay then.
Yeah.
After some great seasons in the Adapter and Stobart teams, in 2013 you found yourself back in a semi-works outfit with the Qatar M Sport Ford team, and of course you and Mads continued your stonking run of form. How did your time in M Sport run Fords compare with your time with Suzuki? Was there much overlap?
I mean, it's always hard to compare one team to another. I think I think they're always team thinks different and so on, and there's some great stuff in every team and there's some less good stuff in all teams. But I really had a good time at M Sport with the Fiesta, and the car was really good at least at the beginning. Maybe the other teams started to develop a bit more than we did on the Fiesta. So, but overall, I think it was a good time. Yeah.
I mean, you guys were knocking out
Awesome.
fair few podiums and stuff around that time as well. You were putting the fight right up, battling very consistently for if not podium results, but top fives on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think we had a great season, and we were in the fight for most of the season to be on the top three at the end of the year, but didn't really get there at the end. But like you said, like really good season and a lot of good results.
2014 obviously saw you switch from the Qatari M Sport operation to Citroen Abu Dhabi, and with it another team to another top team and another top car. Sorry, I have to cut that. I apologise, mate.
All right.
Kelly, can you take the next one, buddy?
Yep. So from Qatar M Sport to Citroen Abu Dhabi into another top team and top car, what's striking here again is the strength and consistency of the results. You were continuing to knock out and achieve, finishing the top Citroen crew in the championship up against the unstoppable Volkswagen team of the time. What are your highlights from the time with Citroen?
I think actually those couple of years in Citroen is probably some of the greatest years I've had. I really enjoyed the time there, and the people at Citroen Racing. I had a great time, and there was ups and downs for sure. But like I think we came to get into Citroen always was a bit of a difficulty with the French speaking and so on. But when we came there was no French speaking drivers, so I think we were a bit lucky to get into that spot at that time. And for me, I had a really great time.
I think the DS3 is maybe, obviously the Polo was so strong at the time, but I think looking back, that DS3 was such a strong car as well, just maybe overshadowed a little bit by Volkswagen at the time.
Yes, I think so as well. I think it was a really good car and a strong car, and but like you said, the Volkswagen at the time was not an easy task to compete against.
No, and that's probably an understatement as well.
And the DS3 also suffers from having to go up against some fairly famous forebearers as well, in the shape of the Zara and the C4.
Yeah.
Moving back to the present, or rather 2022, how would you describe last season in the Puma Rally 1, particularly at the start of the year, when it looked like you had some incredible results, you and Gus?
No, I think it's a great year, and it was a great opportunity for me to be in a new era of rally cars and with the new Rally 1 car, and I really enjoyed the season. And like you said, we had some really good runs at the beginning of the season. Then maybe it faded out a bit due to various reasons. We did some mistakes, and the car let us down a little bit in some other events. So
I think though that it seems like since you've been sitting with Gus, he's really seems to have come on quite strongly, even though those issues the Puma had maybe at times last year. There was a lot of positives for you two as a pairing in the car, and for Gus as a young driver developing his talents. Would you agree?
yeah, definitely. I think overall it was a really good season, and I think we got along very well and started to know each other really good early on, and had the good help from the team and the people around Gus as well. So I think overall it was a very, very good season. We learned a lot, and that we'll try to improve on this year.
Can you see any big differences in Gus as a driver since you started sitting in the car?
No, nothing that sticks out really. I think he's still the same. He's often very calm, I think, and he's doing what he's supposed to do and so on. He's very, what do you call it? I'm lost for words now. Like he's does the same all the time. Like he checks his pace notes the same and so on. So we had a little bit of time last year when we got a bit lost in the pace notes. So we went a step or two back and then back to basics, and the pace notes were back on track again. And I think that's where we continued from and into this year, and that seems to be working very well.
Glad to hear it.
How would you rate the 2023 season so far? Obviously, excluding the incident in Sardinia, you guys are still well in contention with the championship. How are you sort of psyching yourself up for the remainder of the rounds?
No, I'm really, really excited, and like you said, we're really up there in the top, fighting with the other ones for the title. So all to win. So I'm really looking forward to it, and just gonna work hard and try to do our best for the upcoming events and see where it can go. So like I said, I'm at the airport at the moment, flying over to Manchester to meet Gus now and have a couple of days there and work on the pace notes. So
all these exotic locations, eh?
All these exotic locations.
Though it might be pretty obvious looking at the current standings, who do you think your biggest threat will be in the championship this year?
Oliver for sure. Adrian is strong and Rosell is strong. So I think those will be the main competitors. Then it depends on what rounds and how much Andreas does. He's driving well. Can't count out Timo Sunninen. So there is a fair few others as well, but I think the ones I said there is going to be the toughest ones.
And stepping back from the cut and thrust of competition for a moment, how do you unwind between rounds and also juggle family life? It must be quite a challenge.
Yeah, the kids are growing old now, so it's not so bad, and they're used to me traveling. So just spend a lot of time when we're home, and I fish quite a lot when I'm home. I like fishing, and spending time with friends, and I play a lot of paddle. So cool. I think that's and spending time with the girlfriend. So I think that's all the time I have. So yeah,
that's the secret. Okay, so we know you've got to get on a plane to exotic Manchester. So we're going to wrap this up with just a couple of quick questions. So favorite car from your career? Difficult one, but that's a tricky one. There's so many ones that I like so much, but maybe I think like the most spectacular car and the most exciting car in that point of view might have been the Puma last year, actually.
Otherwise, maybe the Ignis. I had a lot of success in the Ignis, so I can't really take that away.
Yes, what about the Ignis? Favorite rally car, full stop, from rallying history?
Lancia Delta HF Integrale.
Solid, good answer. Yeah. We all know that recce cars are just as cool sometimes as the rally cars themselves. What's the best recce car you've used in your career, and why is that?
Boring answer, but Mitsubishi Lancer, and it has all the bits that needs to be in there, and it's like a Group N rally car more or less. So I think that was the best one.
Still very important. The boring stuff can be important in that job.
No, there weren't any M Sport Volvos in your time there, then.
They were exciting. They were exciting for sure. There was some ups and downs in those, but we had some good times in those as well.
But clearly didn't have as much of the stuff you wanted as the Lancers.
No, no.
Which round of the championship do you look forward to most, and why?
Yeah, like Finland is a favorite for sure. Like, just because it's pure speed and you have to leave the brain out and just go flat out for it. So that's always a really special one.
Again, strong answer.
One favorite event of yours from your career in terms of your own performance?
There's a few to choose from, but strong performance. I would say Rally Sweden 2011 with Mads Ostberg in the Fiesta, fighting for the win all the way to the finish line, more or less, with the Hermanen. So I think that was a very strong event for us.
That must be one heck of a feeling.
Yeah, that was an amazing event for sure.
If you could put one round on the WRC calendar that isn't on there now, which would it be? Any country, any surface?
I think actually it would be Wales Rally GB.
Way.
I have loads of nice memories from there, and I think it's a classic rally, and it's always a shitty event. Like, it's muddy, it's dark, it's foggy, but it's a classic, and I really enjoy that one, actually.
I think that sentiment has been shared by people all around the world, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure that sentiment is used by the Welsh Tourism Board.
Okay, so out of the drivers you've sat with over the years, who's kept you most entertained on road sections?
Ooh, hard to pick, but I think it is PG, actually. We connected very well, and we had a lot of fun. So I think I have to say him. Yeah.
And finally, for me, you don't have to answer this one. And I suspect your answer might be from the Rally of the Lakes with Chris Meek. But one funny story from a party or an event that stands out from your career.
Yeah, well, like you said, the Killarney one with the parade is for sure one that sticks out.
That is a cracking answer, to be fair.
Yeah. It's hard to top. We'll cut that one back in from the previous time we chatted.
Yeah.
Jonas, thanks very much for giving us your time as you wait for a flight. So we really do appreciate it. You're a busy man, and we thank you for your time. We'll be continuing to watch your progress along with Gus for the rest of the season. We wish you both the very best of luck going forward for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to be on.
Safe travels, mate.
Thanks so much for your time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.